All right, Aiden, you got through the pod, which has to be a very unique experience for you as a hockey player.
Yeah, it was something that I don't think anyone can really prepare for fully, but it was a really cool experience, and we learned a lot about our team and about ourselves individually. So it's a really good experience.
Individually, what did you learn? Obviously, you were kind of thrust into a position of prominence pretty quickly and logged a lot of ice time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just sticking to my strengths and just trying to win every shift. And we had the mindset of isolating and attacking every game, one shift at a time, every game, one opponent at a time, and really taking it to them. So individually, I learned a lot about management. Obviously, we had the schoolwork load, meals and meetings, that sort of stuff. And then obviously 10 games in 19 days is no easy task. So, yeah, I learned a lot about myself, and it was a great experience.
All right, I'll take questions for Aiden.
Aiden, how was it when you lost your starting goaltender and you had to kind of pull together and rally around Austin Kane and the defense? How do you think that came out?
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see a guy like Bussy go down, but then again, nobody comes to play college hockey as a backup goalie, so we were pretty confident in Austin. And obviously, we pulled together as a team, and we were able to have some really good games. The second and third game obviously weren't our best showings, but I think we really rallied together after that and buckled down and took it to some teams after that. So.
Aiden, how's the adjustment been getting back or out of the pod, readjusting to a more, I guess, as normal as you can schedule and back to preparing to play at Lawson?
Yeah, obviously it's a little bit different after being in a hotel for 3 weeks or so, but it's been great to kind of get back into that routine, workouts and practices. We had a really good skate. Our first practice back yesterday, I thought it was really good. And we're just going to continue to try to get better every day and stick to that routine and get back into it. But we're really excited for the weekend.
Aiden, how's the chemistry between you and Ronnie Andron? Obviously, Ronnie's a defenseman that really likes to jump into the play. So have you guys talked a little bit about how and when you need to cover for him when you know he's going to push up?
Yeah, I mean, he's an outstanding player. He does a lot of great things with the puck offensively and defensively. I like to think I'm a little more defensive, so I think we complement each other well. And I think right off the bat, we just had really good chemistry. So I don't know if there's necessarily been a one-on-one talk about that kind of thing. I think we just feed off each other really well. And he's obviously a guy that I really look up to. And I kind of even try to model my game a little bit after his. But like I said, I think we just complement each other really well. He's a bit more offensive. I'm a bit more, or try to be a bit more defensive. So I think that helps us as a pair.
Aiden, how's your adjustment been from junior hockey to Division I? It's not been what Division I hockey normally is when you're playing 2 games on the weekend. That's going to start up this weekend, but how's the adjustment been for you?
Yeah, it's been great. I think everybody on the team, especially the upperclassmen, have really helped all our incoming freshmen really adjust to the game. With practices, I mean, everybody's going really hard trying to make each other better. So I think from that first game, we were all a little bit prepared, more prepared than honestly I thought I would be. The jump is you just got to make much quicker decisions and read the play before it even happens. But everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. So I think 10 games under the belt is really helpful for me and the other freshmen, and I think we kind of are starting to get the real hang of it now.
Looking ahead to this weekend, facing Miami, I'm sure you saw a lot of video on them in their pod play. What do you know about them, and what do you hope to see out of the Broncos this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Miami's a hardworking team. They played some other better hockey towards the end of the pod there. They've got a strong goaltender, some strong returners. So we just want to make sure we take it to them, stick to our game plan. And we're really looking to put together a full 60 minutes That's something that we really want to focus in on, full 60 minutes and just full compete. So we're really excited for this weekend. It's going to be a great test.
You've played in front of basically yourselves and the opponents. You have to generate your own enthusiasm, and you can hear it on the bench. Is that something you guys are making a point of, to create your own juice on the bench there, because you're not getting it from the fans? Those cutouts don't make a lot of noise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something we really tried to hone in on. Communication in general on the ice and on the bench especially. It makes such a big difference because energy is so infectious. So all it takes is one person to yell and holler, and it gets everybody kind of fired up. So I think that's something that we've been trying to focus in on. And then communication on the ice as well, just being loud for our teammates makes the game so much easier. So.
All right, Aiden, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Aiden.
Well, Coach, the Broncos are done with the pod, and now life is back to as normal as it can be in Kalamazoo. How has the readjustment back to life on campus been for the team?
Well, yesterday was our first day back on campus there, Adam, and in terms of practice and workouts and kind of our regular routine that we're used to. Obviously, our week is a little different this week because we're playing on Saturday and Sunday, so we have one extra day to practice. But thought the first day went very well. They went for a workout. They got COVID tested first thing in the morning, as we're doing every single day right now to protect our players. And they came to the arena. We had a meeting, discussed some of the things that we had to get better at here as we move into the next part of our schedule, and in particular against Miami this weekend, and then went on the ice and worked at those things. So liked our energy, liked our enthusiasm. We welcomed 3 new players to our lineup that have joined us here at the Christmas break there. So there was some energy certainly at practice, the compete level, something that we did not like early in the pod. We thought was much better in the last 7 games. And I think that fact that there were 3 new bodies in practice yesterday heightened the level of competitiveness as well.
Coach, you want to talk about the 3 new guys?
Yeah, I will, Robin. First thing, though, I want to mention that a number of things have changed with our team here. Will Massey, our former goaltender here with our program for 4 years, has joined us now as goaltending coach. Tom Askey was not available to us, and Will is a guy that, in talking with our goaltenders and our goaltending alum, he's a guy that's fairly highly thought of by his fellow players, and certainly as coaches, we had a great deal of respect for the way that he conducted himself and carried himself at all times in our program. And he's a student of the game. I don't know if there's been a goaltending clinic that he hasn't been at. And we're excited to add Will Massey as our goaltending coach. And then we, on the other side of it, we have 2 players. Jared Kacerick, as was the case at the start of the year, is not going to be available to us at all this season. He had surgery in early September for a problem that was bothering him, and he's not going to be available to us. And then, unfortunately, Rhett Kingston, health-wise, is not going to be able to compete this year as well either. So just something that you lose a couple of key guys like that. It means something when you lose not only players like that, but people. And we're certainly hoping that both of them are back in our lineup next year, and that's certainly our plan there. On the other side of it, we had some committed players that their junior teams are no longer playing. And with the fact that the NCAA has ruled that players that are playing this year does not count as a year of eligibility, we did not want these players not playing and not practicing. And the other side of it, of course, losing Rhett Kingston, that allowed us to, create some spots and bring some players in. So we brought in Ross Howard, a 6'4" goaltender from Nipawin, and obviously I should mention Brandon Bussey is still out. We're not sure when he might be back, if at all, this year. So Ross Howard is coming in as a goaltender. Played in the NHL prospects game last year in Canada, was picked to represent Western Canada against Eastern Canada. So real good goaltender. He's young. He's an 01 birthday to 19-year-old. So coming in, big 6'4", 208-pound goaltender. We have Mateo Pekia from the Mississauga Chargers, 5'11", 192. As we saw in practice yesterday, can really skate. A lot of jump in his legs, enthusiastic, and he's a player that was going to be in next year, but we brought him in here at Christmas. And the other one is Tim Washi. Obviously, the Washi name is pretty familiar in our program. His brother Paul is our captain. And, I was kind of mentioning to Paul the other day, if somebody hits Tim on the other team, you can't go after that guy right away. I said, in fact, it might work the other way because he's about 2 inches taller than you are and a little heavier. So Tim Wachi's a player that was playing in NIMO of the BC Junior League, was 12th in the league in scoring. Dominant player in that particular league, and 6'3", 210, a centerman, and he's coming in right now as well. So we've added those 3 players to our lineup.
Great. So can you talk more about the goaltender? That's where you're most in need right now with Brandon out for the foreseeable future anyway.
Well, we're in need of a goaltender because you cannot go into a term academically and have only 2 goalies, because we're not like a junior team or an NHL team. You lose a goalie. If we only had 2, we can't just go and pick somebody off the street or trade for somebody and bring them in and say, you're going to play for us. They've got to be students first and foremost. So we needed to have 3 goaltenders in here. I thought Austin Kane, his game got so much better during the course of the pod there, and I think he's feeling a lot better about himself. I mean, those first 2 games, we were all kind of scrambling, and coach didn't do a very good job. We didn't play well, and Brandon and Alex would have liked to have made a few more saves there too. But certainly Austin learned a lot. Alex, looking at his practice yesterday, looks like Alex Asalandis, another freshman goaltender, looks like he's pretty determined to try and get in the net as well there too. So we've got our 3 goalies set, and how they work, and based on the recommendations of Will Massey and the rest of our coaches, we'll pick one of them to play the first game against Miami. And certainly Austin has a bit of a lead on the other guys because he's played in a lot of games here most recently.
Coach, what did you learn about your team throughout that pod process, and what would you like to see maybe most improvement coming out of the pod and starting back up at Lawson?
Well, it's really interesting. First there, Luke, if I look at it, yes, we've got a kind of a thing that we do in practice. When I blow the whistle twice, that means the end of a drill, and the last guy that skates into our group, they got up. As soon as they hear that double whistle, the idea is to race as hard as you can to where the coach is and hopefully not knock them over. And the last guy in has to skate a lap. And if the last guy in happens to be a senior, all the freshmen have to show respect by making sure they chase after him and follow him around the rink. So yesterday, the first time we blew the whistle, I blew it twice. They all came racing in, and it was one of our seniors that was last. And we started chuckling because 14 guys chased him. Like it was like half the rink was skating, and all the other guys that were standing with me, there was only about 12 guys left. And it looked like the whole team was skating. But so we've got 14 freshmen on our team right now. And in one game in the pod, 10 of them all played in the one game there. So, the one thing that I learned is it's a real coachable group. And obviously there were a lot of coachable moments in the pod, and certainly in that second and third game in particular, but they're coachable. They listen. They want to get better. Our practices right from the beginning of the year in September have been enthusiastic and so on. And, I think the big thing is you heard Aiden Folk speak here just a couple of minutes ago. I mean, he sounds like a guy that's a 5-year pro rather than being a first-year freshman in college hockey. I mean, very good perspective. Everything that we talk about as a team, he basically brought up in his talk there, which I thought was great. And they're all motivated to get better every day. So, we have to be better defensively. There's no question about it. We went over a number of points yesterday that we can improve on to have a better defensive record. Offensively, we're actually 4th in the NCHC right now after 10 games. But on the defensive side, if there were 16 teams in the league and not 8, we'd be 16th right now. That's how far we are behind defensively. So we need to improve in that area, and that certainly is the guy that's in charge is the coach, and so I've got to make sure we're better.
Andy, how are you set on defense? You're a little lean back there unless you move somebody.
Yeah, well, we've been operating here from Cam Knuble, who's just been a great addition to our team, right from Grand Rapids. Obviously, his dad's played over 1,000 games in the National Hockey League, Mike, and we're so happy that we were able to get Cam to join our team. He has a smile on his face every day. He comes to the rink. He doesn't know if he's going to be a centerman or a defenseman in practice, and doesn't say anything, just goes out and does the job. So he's been working as a defenseman. Cedric Fiedler, who's playing with the Swiss team right now, we only had for the first 2 games of the pod. Depending on how they do in their game tomorrow night against Germany, we could have them back as early as Thursday of this week there. So it'd be great to have Cedric back there. And you mentioned Adam the other day, and I saw in one of your notes that Cedric was leading the Swiss in minutes played for defensemen. I think that's the case here now. He's played very well for them from all reports from the pro people. So we're looking forward to having him back. We're the one thing other than certainly Rhett and Jared, we got through the pod pretty healthy, and that's a credit to Brian Bauer and the medical team, the great job they did. I mean, 10 games in 19 days. Nobody in the world plays that many games in that short period of time. We did have the toughest schedule in the pod, and it is what it is. We needed to win more games, and we didn't, but it was a tough grind. But we're healthy. We're ready to go this weekend, and we'll have all hands on board if we do indeed get Cedric back.
Coach, you're about to get very familiar with Miami over the next 4 games. Is these 2 weeks going to have kind of a bit of a playoff feel to it?
I mean, ever since I've been here, it's my 10th year. I think every time you play Miami, it's like you're playing for the 7th game of the Stanley Cup. So they're a great program, a lot of tradition. And if you think the intensity dropped after Enrico Blasi left and Chris Bergeron came in, I mean, I think he even pushes it to another level. I mean, he did an unbelievable job resurrecting the program in Bowling Green, and he's doing the same thing in Miami. So, we're going to talk to our freshmen today. They haven't experienced a Miami game yet, and it doesn't matter where Miami sits in the standings or we sit in the standings. You're playing the Miami Redhawks, a team that came over from us from the CCHA. It's a rival. It's a rival, and our players need to know the kind of intensity that you're going to have. We're going to have to be heavy on our sticks, and don't underestimate any opponent. They got some smaller guys, they got some bigger guys, and no matter who you're going in the corner against, you better be prepared to be heavy on your stick and win that puck battle.
Coach, after being in the pod with all the teams and seeing everybody, how do you rate the league this year compared to last year or recent years as far as strength of the league top to bottom?
Yeah, I mean, again, Adam, as you mentioned, or Robin, sorry, as you mentioned, we haven't seen the other teams in the country, but I mean, until somebody knocks the NCHC off, what have we won the last 24 national championships or whatever? I know it's not that many, but it's a pretty darn good league and good players and good coaches and so professionally run. Like Josh Fenton did a tremendous job. The pod was almost perfect, other than the fact that we didn't like our record. The way that we were treated, the medical concerns that were shown for players and staff and everybody. Mike Kemp and the University of Nebraska Omaha's host did a tremendous job there as well. So we're playing in a very, very professionally run league with great players, great venues, and great coaches. So it's going to be another. I mean, to win the national championship, you're going to have to beat an NCHC team.